Hi everyone, welcome to the life of a Latina engineer. In today's video, we have Natalia Pascual with us. She has a bachelor's in mechanical engineering and is currently going for a master in information systems management. She is from Los Angeles, California and has been a mentor for college students for 6 years. And her Instagram account, which is in Instagram and Facebook, I'm gonna leave them somewhere here so that you can follow her and check out the other video that we're gonna be doing together. And this week we're gonna be covering misconceptions from engineering. So we both went into our accounts and we asked students what are the typical misconceptions that they thought about engineering. And we picked some of them and we're gonna address half of them here and the other half in her video. So be sure to check them out after you check this one out. Okay, so let's jump right in. The first misconception is, I want male attention and that's why I went for engineering. What do you think about that, Natalia?
Well, to be honest, that's actually one of the first times I hear that about women who want to go into engineering. I haven't really heard that stigma too much before. How about you? Have you heard about it?
I think I've heard more about it from where I am from Mexico, than here. I have seen it that, sometimes female engineers want to be like one of the boys, and when there's another female engineer, then there might be some like they might not get along as well, which is something that sadly like I don't want to see happen. I haven't seen happen in person, but have heard of it that they become part of the guy team instead of fighting for getting equality, so there can be more like be more welcoming for more females.
Yeah. And kind of to put it in like a different perspective also, when I think of saying male attention, I think here that perspective is a little bit different because there is another stigma where men don't really like, not all men obviously, but they're a little intimidated by women who are very successful, who are maybe in these fields that are predominantly men. But I would think that's kind of the opposite.
Yeah, I definitely see it that way too. Like when I was in school, like nobody would talk to me, and I felt that it was either for two reasons. Either because they didn't know how to talk to me, like they might have been intimidated, like it's usually going to a career and they expect all men, and then you are. And the other one was like they just didn't want me there. Maybe they just didn't want me to they thought that I wasn't smart enough. So it was that conflict of like, well, either option, it's just bad because I just want to be here. I just want to study my career and I want to be able to have friends while I'm in school. Like I didn't come here to find, a partner or a boyfriend or want or attention.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And then at the end of the day, it's kind of an advantage because I'm no expert in dating, but the little bit that I have done, I've kind of noticed pretty early on when men are not really attracted to that type of woman.
All right, let's move on to the second misconception. The second misconception is that coming from a low income household means that I cannot be successful. What do you think about that one?
Oh man, where do I even start? I think I get it. I get where that idea comes from because, well, I'm from that background, so I understand where it might feel like it's unachievable because we don't really have a lot of role models around us to show that it is achievable. And so a lot of times under these circumstances, we kind of have to set the first steps for other people who will follow behind us. But unfortunately, that kind of leaves us struggling and maybe a little bit lost, and in a sense that we don't know where to start, what to do, in the sense that we don't know how to get out of the situation that we're so used to being in, or we're so used to seeing other people in. And so I totally get it. But it's like this whole video is about, it's misconceptions, right? It's definitely not true.
Yeah, I think I see it more like you might not have as many opportunities or resources like directly available to you, but that makes you appreciate it more, that makes you work harder, and that makes you eventually be better than someone, because having things given to you or just being super smart without having to work hard for it, you kind of give it for granted. And like hard work, I see like it's always gonna be way better than just being smart. And like I've said, being in engineering doesn't mean that you're the smartest person in the room. The other thing that I've seen is like, I know when I was in school, I was a commuter, like I was going to school with scholarships and whatnot, and there would be students that would just think classes were so easy and would just be so careless, and it was like, no, I'm putting all the work, all the effort that I can into the classroom, and then I see, like, I go into a test, I'm nervous, I'm trying to do best, and then other student just walks out and he's like, oh yeah, it's so easy, making everybody feel worse about it, like that he did good and maybe we didn't do as well. And it's like, that's not the attitude to go for. Like, you're obviously, like, yeah, you want to go to school, but you're not grateful to be in this position.
Yeah, definitely. I think it makes us a better student and even employee because if we are coming from low income families, we have other struggles to think about. And one of the ones that I saw the most with my friends in college, because a lot of us came from the same background that the friends I ended up making, is we have other worries to worry about. Financial was one of the biggest one. Sometimes it was kind of like how we need to work extra hours, meaning that we have less time to study. And so we had to, like, in Guatemala, like, poner las pilas, we had to get on top of it in different ways than for people who were privileged enough to not have to worry about the things that we have to worry about. So the fact that we're able to push through those obstacles and then still come out on top in school, it just sets us up better for life. But I think we have to be careful with our perspective about it, because it's easy to fall into the, like the victim, right? To fall into this state of mind where things are collapsing on us. And it, for some, yeah, it's true. But when we carry that weight with the help of others, because we can't do it alone, with the help of others, we come out higher than other people who are not going to go under this, they're not going to achieve the same things under the same circumstances.
Mm-hmm. And with resources, I've seen a tremendous growth of resources for Latinos and for just students in STEM. There's a lot of interest there. So even if, we come from low income, if you look for them, you're gonna find scholarships, organizations that are gonna help you out. And so while it might be difficult, like maybe especially if you're the oldest one in your family or first generation, like you have to go looking for that. But again, it comes back to the point where you really want it, so you're gonna find those opportunities, and the opportunities are there waiting for you. So this one is one of the ones that I'm really like, I don't believe in. Like, if you're from a low income household, you can definitely succeed.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, next misconception is engineering is only for A students.
Where do we start with this one too?
Right. Well, let's start with it's not true.
Yeah, it's for sure not true, not true. I have seen many people who have taken extra time in doing their major, in extending their major for this reason. They've failed classes, they've had to take in over 3 times. They have had to, for different circumstances, maybe take like a leave of absence, come in. Life happens, things get stressful. Sometimes I feel like people label people that they're assuming things of as procrastinators. But a lot of times what I've noticed is that the people who are quote unquote procrastinating are actually struggling with something else. And so there's a lot of circumstances that come into play why we might not get an A. And then there's the other side where like maybe we just don't get the material and it takes us extra work to understand it. And that's okay. Like we don't have to look like those top A students with like the 4.0 GPA and all of that to end up succeeding. It's not about perfection. It's not about getting the perfect scores or being the best at math or any of that. It's about what are you going to do with the abilities that you have. I think the biggest takeaway with engineering is our problem solving skills that we end up gaining. And so it's how are you going to use that in the real world? That is what's going to determine your success, not the A that you got in chemistry,
And sometimes, your grades just don't represent how much you're understanding. I know in some classes, like especially the first test of every class, I would go in thinking that I knew the material, and then I took the test and I did terrible. That was almost every semester. So it wasn't like like, and I will feel like the test or the 3-4 questions that they ask you in a test that is most of your grade, most of the time doesn't represent if you understand everything or not. The other thing is, like, I was an A student when I was in high school, so I did have all A's when I was younger. But I mean, once I got to college, I almost failed my first physics class. I took chemistry twice, I took material science twice, and there were some classes that I barely passed. So I mean, that obviously didn't translate to college. So if you are going from high school to college, it's also gonna be a change. So don't expect to ace all your engineering classes and be an A student in college just because you were an A student in high school. But then again, there's so many factors to getting that A. Sometimes, like you said, there's a lot more going on in your life than just your classes where you just can't do it.
Yeah, definitely. And I can totally relate. I was also an A student in high school. And then I remember the first time I got a C in the class, so I barely passed it, but it was economics. And I actually talked about this in one of my other videos where I thought I was going to be a business major. And then I took that class and I struggled so much. I almost failed it. I was like, yeah, never again. I'm not doing this again. But same thing with my engineering classes. There was a semester where I took like 6 or 7 engineering, like upper division classes. And that's a struggle. It depends on so many circumstances. And something that a lot of people would tend to say is, oh, like, you're so smart because you're getting good grades, because it looked that way, like it was easy for me, but it wasn't. It was me staying up till 2-3 in the morning with my friends in the library, studying my butt off to try to get what I was studying, to just simply understand it, while some people might take 2 hours to study it and then get an A in the test like nothing. So it really depends on your learning style and your learning, the way that you want to learn, you like to learn. Some people are visual, some people are kinesthetic. So all of that, literally all of that comes into play. Some classes, depending on what kind of learning style suits you, you might have an easier time, and then other classes might be a little bit more difficult. So definitely, I have to agree with you. This one is not true.
Okay. So the last misconception is that engineering is boring. I mean, honestly, I feel like young students, young women that are still in high school, don't get to actually learn what engineering is, what they can do with it, the potential, all the different areas that you can go into. So it looks boring. You think of engineering, you think of a man. You think of engineering, you think of machines. You think of, manly stuff, tools, hard hats, work boots. But it doesn't have to be like that.
I, once again, completely agree. I got into engineering because of how not boring it was. To me, there's so many fields, and not just mechanical engineering, manufacturing engineering, electrical engineering. That's just like the tip of the iceberg. That is like just the beginning of what you can do. Because ultimately, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, it's the critical thinking skills or problem solving skills that the engineering degree provides you. The way that you take that into life, the way that you become innovative with those skills, like, what can't you do? So it definitely brings a new perspective to life, I would think. That's definitely not boring.
Yeah. And I mean, that's one of the things that I want to focus on, that I like to focus on my page, is like, you can focus into fashion, into sports, and into medicine, into furniture. Like, you can literally design anything or like create anything with engineering. Engineering, like you said, I think it mostly relates to, the way of thinking, critical thinking, problem solving. But then from there, you can stay in an engineering position, you can go outside of engineering and take other positions. It just prepares you to have this career, and then you can pick an engineering job that can go into cosmetics, or can go into literally making fashion, making the fabrics, designing shoes that are good for sports. So, or you can go into different positions that are related to, or that with your engineering degree you can already go into those positions that are not engineering at all.
Yeah, so much. That's actually exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm taking all the skills that I learned in my undergrad degree, and I'm switching career paths into more of a tech field. It's not mechanical engineering, but literally everything I have learned from critical thinking and problem solving, I'm applying. So you can take it anywhere you want. Like, the world is your playground, basically. The second that you have these skills and you start learning from it, the world is your playground.
Thank you so much for those words, Natalia. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We're going to cover more of these misconceptions on Natalia's channel. I'm going to link it somewhere here. I don't know where, so somewhere in here. Be sure to watch it after this one. I'm really happy that you guys are here, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.